Onto the Korean scene now. Well, a lot has happened this week. Hero, the WeMade Protoss, has retired, and WeMade does not have a lot of Protosses. It uses Rock for cheesing Terrans, it uses Pure for making DTs, and it uses Hero for everything else. So they've lost Hero now. They're down to 2 Protosses, and well, you know, WeMade, they're in a rough spot. They're not doing so well this season. They've really only got Nada and Mind really doing anything for the team right now. So we'll have to see how they replace him. They're going to really need a new Protoss pretty soon, I think. And ForGG was bought by KTF from Hwasong Oz. So that's kind of a big move. He is an MSL champion. He just got really far in this current Star League. And he's a really great Terran player. Hwasong is really going to feel his loss. And KTF looks like they are rebuilding their roster. You know, they are used to being up on the top, having this huge star-studded team. They've only got Flash, and then they took Luxury from OGN, and now they've taken ForGG from Hwasong. Who's next? I'm not sure. Probably a good Protoss player. Tempest is not going to be able to hold up the team with his Protoss, that's for sure. So, you know, this is a pretty big deal, ForGG going over to KTF. I think suddenly we're going to see KTF and SK Telecom and CJ back at the top like they have been in the past. And, you know, with KTF taking ForGG, he cannot play in the Winners League finals. He has to wait until the Pro League starts back up again to get on the roster properly. But that means he also can't play with Hwasong. So in this past Winners League weekend, in the playoffs, the first round, SK Telecom was against KTF. And, you know, it was a very close matchup. Bisu actually only killed 1 person, and then when Flash eventually came out, Fantasy just proxy 8-raxed on Coliseum. So, you know, he rushes in with his Marines, and Flash pulls all his SCVs and tries to get something done there, but it just did not work out for him. You could see the disappointment and anger and frustration in him after Fantasy won that just on build orders. You know, Flash has to be getting sick of that. He's lost a lot of matches recently, and he should not be doing that because he is such a great player. And so it was a very close matchup. Fantasy looked like he was going to finish off KTF by himself. He had actually a very good lead on Luxury. You know, Luxury looked pretty much like he was dead, but Fantasy got his dropship before the Science Vessel. And this made it a lot harder when Luxury did have the Defilers out, and Luxury just kind of ended up in front of Fantasy's base with Lurkers and a Defiler. And when that happens, when you're right in front of the Terran Natural, it's hard for Terran to come back from that, because as soon as you get the Dark Swarm up in the Natural, Terran has to lift off and can't really do that much. You know, they lose their map dominance, and Zerg can just kind of rally in there, their Defilers, Zerglings, and Lurkers. And without a lot of Science Vessels, it's extremely hard to clean that out. So Luxury came back, secured the victory for KTF, despite the fact that Flash had 0 wins. And, you know, as I've said before, in Winners League, they would have only won 2 matches without Flash. So really, KTF showing that as a team, they are still pretty strong. And so they're going to be going up against Hwasong next, and Hwasong no longer has ForGG. So, you know, they're going to be relying a little bit more on, you know, Haya, Jaedong, maybe Lomo, hopefully not Backho, or they are out of there. And so it's a pretty exciting next round to see who's going to win that, and, you know, maybe a little bit of tension there with ForGG being on the new team. So anyways, that's enough about Winners League right now. That matchup's going to come up this weekend. The winner of that against CJ in the Grand Finals. It's been great so far, but let's move on to the MSL for a moment here. Wow, the finals of the MSL, it was crushing in the semifinals. Luxury just 3-0-0, hardcore. Now, Zero is known for having some of the best Mutalisk micro in the entire world. So a lot of people thought this was going to be a lot closer, but, you know, I've said it a few times on the show before and in VODs. Luxury overall is considered the best Zerg vs. Zerg player in practice in Korea, even over Jaedong. So, you know, I thought that he was going to win this, and he certainly did. 3-0, very strong showing there by Luxury. So he's going to go to his first Star League Finals in MSL. And on the other side, something I think no one expected, Jongbi has been playing much better than Stork recently. In fact, Jongbi can only be rivaled by Jaedong, Flash, and Bisu right now as far as results go. He is crushing everyone and everything in his path. So, you know, Jongbi, he just crushed Stork. something I don't think we've ever seen against Stork in a Protoss versus Protoss matchup. 3-0. I don't even know how that happens. You know, Stork in the time span of 2 days gets knocked out of both Star Leagues, especially when he was a game up in OSL. So really painful for Stork, but Jongbi looks poised to take his first title down, and I tell you what, he really deserves it. He's probably the best player in the world without a title, and you know, he's made it to the finals twice, the GOM Season 2 as well as MSL last season. So here he is showing up a lot of strength, hitting 2 MSL finals right in a row. Luxury is going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to beat Jongbi, and I just do not see it happening. I think that Jongbi's probably going to go ahead and 3-1 Luxury. So that is what's happening in the MSL right now. That finals is going to take place in just a couple days here on Saturday. Should be pretty exciting as far as PVZs go. But the OSL, that is the league that looks more exciting yet again. You know, that is the league that everyone feels, you know, it's a step up from the MSL. And who's left in that? Well, this past week we saw the final matches into the semifinals. And the matches, Bisu took out Bess pretty cleanly. Bess didn't have much of a chance. Bisu has been playing just astoundingly lately. He is like trying to become a Bonjour here, you can tell. And, well, he's going to be playing the winner of Fantasy and Luxury. And, you know, I really thought that Luxury was going to be able to take down Fantasy here. He was up 1-0. And Fantasy actually came back and beat him 2-0 with some really clever builds. It was really quite fun to watch. And Fantasy, I mean, this is great. He made the finals of OSL last time. And here he is. He's in the top 4 again, but he's against Bisu, his teammate, one of the best Protoss ever. I don't know if Fantasy has what it takes, but you know what? Fantasy, he's pretty good in everything, but he's better in matches than in Pro League. You know, Pro League is just a best of 1. Yeah, he wins a good amount for SK Telecom, but it's in best of 3s and best of 5s that Fantasy really shines. He really plans out his matches very well, and his style is pretty hard to deal with, lots of harassment and whatnot. So, you know, Fantasy versus Bisu should be a good match, but expect Bisu to take that down. He might be just too strong for almost anyone at this point. And then on the other side of the bracket, we had Bai Hero. He took out Huashin, and so he is now in the semifinals, but unfortunately for him, Stork lost a 1-0 lead over Jaedong. Jaedong just comes back, super powerful play, takes Stork out. So it's going to be Jaedong against Hero in the ZVZ other semifinals. And Jaedong doesn't lose Zerg vs. Zerg on television. So Hero is going to be just Hulk smashed into the ground. And Jaedong is going to go on to the finals. And that's probably going to show us another PVZ finals, with this one being Bisu against Jaedong. That is an amazing finals right there. Those are 2 of the best 4 players in the world. And whenever you can see that, I don't care what the matchup is, that is an excellent finals. That is what Starcraft is all about. So this is going to be exciting either way, whether it's Jaedong against Bisu or Jaedong against Fantasy. Sorry, Hero, you're not going to beat Jaedong ZVZ on television. It's not going to happen, especially in your first Star League. Sorry. I mean, I wish it could. You're like a mini July Zerg, but you're going to be gone pretty quickly here. So that is a wrap-up on the couple Star Leagues. Really exciting times right now, getting into the finals of every single league, basically, while all this stuff is happening in the foreigner scene as well, enough to keep any StarCraft fan busy. And so, well, that's it for the weekly news. Let's look into what we're going to see next week. A lot of ESWC coverage. The Chinese tournament is going to be taking part this weekend. And so we're going to have a lot of VODs coming up, a lot of replays. Next week, we're going to have the European Open Tournament qualifiers, and then on the weekend, the European Final 16. And that, to me, I think is going to be one of the very best tournaments. I really am looking forward to the Americas and European ones. And, you know, the Chinese one isn't bad at all either. We have all the big names. The bracket's already up on the site. Some really powerhouse first-round matches like PJ versus Love TT and F91 against Legend. Really a hard tournament. I can't imagine who's going to walk out of that. And other than that, we're going to have a few more behind-the-scenes videos of various things coming up. I'm going to leave you in the dark on that. It'll be better as a surprise. So that is it for the weekly news. Thank you for watching once again. And that's it. Bye-bye.